It's funny because here in my script it says we are just a couple of months away from Sonic Frontiers launch, but it's actually launching today, the day I'm recording this. So you can see that my schedule is all over the place. But anyway, Sonic Frontiers is launching today, and I see a lot of critics, a lot of people online kind of saying it copied Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah, it did, but most open world games, heck, not even open world, most games nowadays are trying to copy Zelda Breath of the Wild, but yeah, it was a great game. But anyway, I don't want to talk about Sonic Frontiers today. I just kind of want to please the algorithm gods by using this clickbait title. I hope it works. Actually, I'm gonna talk about that other time that Sonic copied Zelda. Yeah, you may not know it. Holy shit, a giant bug just entered my recording room. Kinda lost my line of thought here because of that bug. Hope it's dead now. Yeah, whatever, roll the intro. I mean, we hear all the time that Sonic is trying to copy Mario and stuff, but copying Zelda doesn't happen as often as trying to copy Mario. I'm still hearing that bug. There he is. Die. Yeah, but you don't hear as often that Sonic is copying Zelda as you hear that Sonic is copying Mario, so I think it's time to celebrate the other time that happened. And actually, it's one of my favorite Sonic games of all time, if you can believe that. It's almost as if copying something that works. But yeah, if you aren't a Sonic fan and you haven't guessed it by now, I'm talking about Sonic Rush Adventure. I used to play this game a lot when I was younger. I have no clue of how this is showing on my green screen, but whatever, I hope it shows fine. But I used to play this game a lot when I was younger, and I think it's a great game and it has to be celebrated. So, during at that time in my life, I wasn't really into Zelda. Yeah, it's hard to believe that such a time existed when I have this arm full of Zelda tattoo, but yeah, it existed. Even then, I remember playing this game and thinking, oh, I've seen this somewhere. And yeah, of course, I saw it on Zelda the Phantomhourglass. It is one of the you must have it kind of game for the Nintendo DS if you like the console. So even though I was younger, I didn't play this before, I knew it existed, I knew about the plot, the mechanics, and when I started playing Sonic Rush Adventure, I was like, oh yeah, I see now. Of course, Sonic isn't going to dungeons and defeating monsters and stuff yet. It's more about the setting and some mechanics. Some mechanics are borderline copying, but I will talk more about that when I arrive to that topic, if that's okay. By the way, I have my iPad here, I'm reading my script, and yeah, that's why I said that I have topics on it later. Anyway, let's talk about the setting. So in Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic and Tails are flying in the tornado when they come across a tornado. Yeah. And they pass out and they wake up stranded on this island. And they wake up in this island. So they pass out and they wake up in this island. Nossa, não tá saindo, mano. What the fuck? So they pass out and later they wake up in this island. They wake up in this island where they meet this raccoon called Marine. I think Marine was later used as the basis for Styx, that character in Sonic Boom, although I can't verify that, that's just some fun speculation. I've seen that online, but I've never seen proof. But this girl Marine has this dream of exploring the sea, and Sonic and Tails have to get out of that island back to Green Hill, or I don't know, their home, or whatever that is, Emerald Coast, maybe. So they team up together because they have kind of the same objective of getting out of the island. So, using his smarts, Tails is able to build all these ships or vehicles to explore the sea, and that's where Sonic Rush Adventure kind of starts taking a little bit more than inspiration from Zelda Phantomhourglass. So you have this ship that you can explore the sea, and you have to uncover these new islands next to the one that you're stranded in. So you do that by tracing your path with the stylus on the bottom screen of the DS, and if you haven't played the Phantomhourglass, it's exactly the same gameplay mechanic. I'm not joking, it's kind of the exact same stuff. You have your C# and you just draw your path to the next island. Yeah, once you get to the traveling itself, it's very different, but it is still very similar. It's not very different at all. I don't know why I phrase it like that. But yeah, Sonic Rush Adventures go more on the route of being some kind of minigame to get between stages, because those islands you uncover are basically the zones from a Sonic game, while Zelda is more focused on exploring whatever is around you. But yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, that's the other time that Sonic copies Zelda. And now that I've pleased the algorithm gods, I will just fanboy a little bit about one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. So that's okay with you? So, I see a lot of talk on the internet about Sonic Rush, the first one, and I don't see as many for Sonic Rush Adventure, which I think is insane, because it's just a better game in almost every way imaginable. I was gonna play a sketch where I throw this over my shoulder, but this was really expensive, so I'm not going to. Yeah, everything's alright. With manual and everything, how can I do that? I can't. I'm not some angry video game nerd. Anyway, it's kind of understandable because Sonic Rush Adventure sold less than half than the first one, according to VG charts, which I think is a pretty reliable source of information for that kind of stuff. Is it? I think it is. I've used it before. I'm not sure actually if it can be considered a hidden gem. It sold like more than 1 million copies. But if you go and try to buy Sonic Rush Adventure online, it's considerably more expensive than the first one, so yeah, I'm gonna call it a hidden gem. By the way, I'm not saying that Sonic Rush is a bad game by any means. It's a perfectly fine Sonic game. But I think it's just that. It's just a good Sonic game. I mean, nowadays it's kind of special for being a good Sonic game, but during that time you already had the entire Sonic Advance trilogy. So yeah, it's not fair to say that being a good Sonic game is like just good enough, okay? And oh my god, I hope that Sonic Frontiers turned out great. Oh, it's so sad being a Sonic fan, man. Now that I've made myself sad, I'm gonna try to make myself happy again by talking about the good stuff of Sonic Rush Adventure. Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I have to compare the two because they are essentially brothers. In Sonic Rush, the stages are very basic. They are your whole Sonic chic, like, oh, a green forest, a casino stage, a sky base. Okay, it can work, but we've seen that trope almost every other Sonic game by now. I mean, it's in Sonic 4, I mean, it's in Sonic Forces, Sonic Generations. So yeah, I'm kind of tired of that. And even though I shouldn't compare, because Sonic Rush Adventure came all the way back then, we again already had the entire Sonic Advance trilogy, and I think it's fair to say that doing all that again is just fine. Besides being very generic, you also have to play the stages twice to beat the game, one with Sonic and one with Blaze. And I mean, Blaze is a great character. I think it's the best character introduced in Sonic games since Shadow. I don't know if that's a bold claim or not, but Blaze is great. But man, it's just the same stage. Sonic and Blaze have kind of different abilities. Blaze kind of control fires. It's a little bit tad slower than Sonic. You just play them in a different order, and that's not different enough. And that's one of the points where I think Sonic Rush Adventure succeeds, and I think Sonic Rush fails, because the stage themes are so more creative in Sonic Rush Adventure. You have like this haunted forest, then you have like this steampunk factory, then you go to like these coral crystal caves, which is great. You have like these ancient floating ruins that I think are also a reference to the Babylon from the Sonic Rider series. You also have like this secret pirate city, which is awesome. You can ride a dolphin on it. If you aren't super hyped about riding a dolphin, I don't know, you are kind of probably dead inside already. And like in the first Sonic Rush, you have like this plot where Sonic's dimension and Blaze's dimension are colliding, but they don't do anything with that. Like, it doesn't reflect in the stages you play. As far as I know, they are just all in the Sonic's dimension. However, in Sonic Rush Adventure, all the stage themes kind of complement the plot, which is great because, again, you are in this sea exploring adventure with Marine. And I think it's just great. I think all those themes I told you before, this coral cave, this pirate city, they just fit so well in the whole setting. It's great. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot that one of the stages in Sonic Rush Adventure is a f***ing ghost ship, which is also a very important thing in the phantomhourglass. So there we go. I'm still comparing the two, so the title is not a lie. And if you are good enough, you just have to play all the stages once. Not twice, just once. To be fair, in Sonic Rush Adventure, you have like to gather these materials to visit other islands and therefore advance the plot. And you are rewarded materials based on how good you were on that stage. But if you are playing kind of good enough, like, oh, I'm only getting A to S ranks, you're guaranteed to have almost every material ever. So unless you're like doing pretty bad, you probably won't do that. Also, when you're exploring the sea by drawing on your sea chart, you can come across some hidden islands, and they also grant you materials, so there's that. I don't think that's unfair by any means. By the way, I'm super hot, I'm sweating my ass off here. So I'm just trying to finish this as quickly as possible. Oh yeah, how could I forget? One of the biggest stuff for me. One of the major oversight of Sonic Rush is that when you're trying to trick, by the way, Sonic Rush has this trick system where you can press the B or A button to make Sonic go, yeah, where you kind of fill up this meter that you can use to boost. But if you try to do that on a rail grind, your character will just jump and you're going to die most of the time because there are a lot of bottom speeds under rail grinds in this game. I mean, you can still do tricks while rail grinding, but you have to do that with the L and R triggers, and at least me as a kid was so used to do it with the B button that wasn't very fun. I think fun is the right word. But not in Sonic Rush Adventure. In Sonic Rush Adventure, you will never jump off rail grinds if you don't want to. And that alone makes the game like so much more playable for me. Of course, I have to talk of the big elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about myself because I'm overrated. I'm talking about the soundtrack. Okay, I think it's the only aspect of Sonic Rush that is better than Sonic Rush Adventure. Hideki Naganuma is just a perfect match for Sonic. You can't deny that. He's the composer of Jet Set Radio, and his beats are just perfect for Sonic. He just gets you pumped, you know. On the little discussion that I found online about Sonic Rush Adventure, I see a lot of people hating on Marine, the raccoon character that I told you before, and I don't know if that's because they associate her with Sticks from Sonic Boom, but they say she's annoying, and yeah, she can be a little annoying in the beginning of the game, where she's still naive and young, and she has never left the island before. She's like the Tails to Blaze Sonic. Oh, by the way, this whole game is in Blaze's dimension, which I think is great, because I told you before, the whole first game was in the Sonic's dimension. So I think it's a great dynamic. You can see a bit more of how Blaze's dimension works. I don't know what happened in Blaze's dimension, but it's just water, it's a lot of water. Maybe something like the Wind Waker happened and Blaze is the hero of wind in that dimension. If you think too hard about it, they kind of missed the opportunity to show Blaze's kingdom, I mean her cast and stuff, because she's a queen or a princess, I don't remember. But okay, it's a nice view of another dimension that we've never seen before. And yeah, to finish off, I think there's just some little stuff that I really like about Sonic Rush Adventure. Mostly the hub area that you spend your time between stages. It's just this island that we were stranded with Marine and Tails, and some folk live there, some kind of cat-like creatures. And you can customize your island using materials. You have like this bunch of side quests that you can make. And you have like this whole place that you can kind of, sorta, make your home on this new dimension that you are exploring with Sonic. It also tries a little bit of an RPG elements, where you have to talk to NPCs to get their quests and to make stuff happen. You even have to pause the game and go into save to save your progress, and this is not something that Sonic Rush did it. And I don't know why they went with that route, maybe because they wanted to hammer down that this was a new kind of adventure. Or maybe they were just copying Zelda again, who knows.